All right, hi everyone. Doug's just getting finished set up here. He wanted me to go over a couple of things regarding the photos he tried to post to the group. He's now been banned from posting anymore in the group because he confuses a lot of people because he's confused himself. So I told him he needs to stick to the leather work and leave the rest to me and Garth. So I will go through this evening or tomorrow and work on getting those posts cleared up and getting those pictures more organized so everybody can understand what he was talking about and get those captions underneath so you know what the picture is referring to. Other than that, it's good to see everybody. I know it's been a couple of weeks and I think Doug is excited for this lesson today.
Okay, folks, glad to be back. First of all, there's going to be a lot of coverage to do on all different types of stitching. As you know, as I listed on there, if you found it, of course. Anyways, first of all, I want to thank my son for being here and my daughter, I guess, babysitting me down there. But anyways, for them being here helping me and doing this so everybody else can see and learn about how to do some sewing and leather work. So I'm going to show, all these different stitches, but most of all, I want to go over this stitch here. Richard factory that I'm self-taught, so everything I can share is going to be helpful to you. So anyways, what we'll do there. So that line there. Everybody all right?
Yeah, it looks good on my end.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So anyways, first of all, what I want to go, this is a Cobra made by Leather Machine Company. It's a Cobra Class 4. They have all different types of series of, two other smaller versions of the Cobra. And there again, as I mentioned, of course, on the Facebook page, that Cobra and Cowboy are basically the same machine, and there's many other companies that make this machine with their name on it. It's basically, it goes right down the assembly line, whether it's at one plant or two plants over in China. That's not the point. The point is, so everybody understands, is it's virtually the same machine as far as how it's structured. There might be a few different tweaks here and there as far as where the bobbin holder is for where your spool set, different locations, so on and so forth. But so I guess what I want to start out with is showing you some different things here. This thing I'm going to show you here, you have to bear with me. This is like your platform to support your goods as you sew. It actually sets on a machine like that, two screws mounted to here. And that creates a platform to support whether you're doing a wallet, a blank, whatever that may be. So what you have here is you have your needle hole that your plate is up here, where this actually meets up against this like that. Okay. So you have to bear with me here. Okay, so what we have here, this is the platform, like I said, that supports your object that you're sewing, and this is the cover plate, which is over top of the feed dog, which your feed dog is what pulls the material, the leather, up through, so it continuously moves with the walking foot to keep the same distance of sewing. And here's another one that they use, that this is like put in like this, okay? And let's see, that there, you have to bear with me here, that goes on like this, okay? And so you can see the difference in the opening here. And if you look at this one, say, I'm gonna have to move this back some more. Okay. This is very, very important, so I want you to watch this. Okay, so what you have, let me move this around. I think it needs to go like this. Now that I think about it, yeah. That's going to go like that. This will go on like this here. Okay, so here is the situation. You have the supporting plate here that supports your material that you're going to be sewing as it goes over the arm of the sewing machine. And this here, this opening here, I'm going to get the seam ripper. This opening here is for the needle to travel down. And this is for the needle to travel down through to catch the loop from your bobbin casing to pull up, make the loop and stitch. So you can see the clearance here, okay? And this is what it comes with when you get it right away. This comes, of course, also. And what it is, if you look at the opening here, and this is what we're going to talk about, because when it comes, this is what that is there. The opening, what I might need to focus on is the size of that opening right there, the size of it, all the way in here, okay? So what that is clearance for the feed dog to pull the material as the motor's running. It pulls the leather, it pulls the canvas, whatever that may be. It pulls it through to set, your stitching and keeping it moving through. So it's actually helping you as you sew, and it sets, it keeps it consistent because the feed dog is pushing up from the bottom. Your walking foot is on top, and it's pulling it and pulling it. Besides you setting your distance. Okay, so I want to get right to the point here. I can show you these other things as well. During my years of doing leather work, and this is something that I've done for a living, as you've read many, many times on my page. So it wasn't a hobby, it wasn't a part-time business, it was actually a living, 6, 7 days a week. So the point of the matter is, you run into issues on a regular basis that you wouldn't if you were doing it as a crafter or a part-time business. It's simply, that's the point of it. And so what happened is, I will grab, let me grab this right here. For example, right here. I want that other one right there. Okay, so here's the example, is if we look at this here, my son helps me. This is a rifle sling tail, okay? This is 1 inch wide, okay? This is 1 inch wide, okay? And then this flares out here because it mounts up to the main body of the rifle sling. Okay, so what happened as we learned is as we are sewing this, coming down the tail, this is riding against, and you're going to see this because I can't keep jumping back and forth. This is going to butt up against the edge guide, which keeps it nice and straight. So as my son is sewing down this, okay, we're coming, he's traveling down, and he goes to turn and come around the corner, okay? And so when he turns to come around the corner, this is what happens right here. That dips down in there because the opening is so big, okay? And so needless to say, that dropped right in there, and his finger was right here. He virtually put a size 24 needle right through the end of his finger. So what I'm saying, folks, is, you don't know this until you've learned it and done it. And that's the whole purpose of me doing this, is I want everybody to do it correctly and safely. I don't want to see anybody being injured. And I'm not making, cutting things down. It's just perfecting your work and safety. And that's the whole point when you've seen these plates that I posted on Facebook. But anyways, once again, it's going to travel down the edge guide. And what happened is You have to turn to go around to the end of that. And when he did that, the end of that went right down in there. Okay. And that was virtually going to be his index finger at that point in time. But thank God he got it pulled out in time. So that's the major and the danger point of it. And back up in case you didn't catch it, when you go to this here, this plate here, this supports it, remember. Okay, and this is your stitching plate here. But now your feed dog is underneath this plate. It's not here in view. So the feed dog cannot actually pull and tug and bring the material through because it doesn't have this opening. Okay. So when we go to use this plate, you basically, it's nothing wrong with it. You just have to apply pressure and push as you do your sewing. And you learn to, okay, I'm using a 4 ounce or I'm using a 10 ounce. And you learn how hard to push and control the piece of leather as it's going through. So, that's good, but it wasn't for me because, you gotta be able to get your work done. Let's just say that. So what I had to do to protect myself, my helpers, my workers, because this isn't just a couple rifle slings. This isn't just a couple guitar straps. We're talking thousands, hundreds at a time, etc. You can't have issues like that. So this is what I had done. Okay, is now what we're going to do. If you watch this, we're going to move the plate out of here and we're going to come in with this here. Okay, so now I've already calculated the total distance that that feed dog is ever going to move. It's never going past this point or this point. And there's clearance. Believe it or not, there's clearance like a 16th of an inch on each end of that. That feed dog is never going to touch the end of that opening right there. So let's go back and look at this. Look at the difference in that. Let me move this for us. Look at the difference in that picture, folks. So the point is when you're looking at getting your sewing machine and all these sewing machines, such as your Cowboy and Cobra, and I'm just going to come out and say it. If you was ever to look at a Weaver sewing machine, it's the same machine. It's got their sticker on it. It goes down the line, and there's probably 3 or 4 more companies. I just can't remember all those, of course, but I'm just trying to educate you that it's basically the same machine. You just put a label on it. And don't get me wrong, it's like anything. Everything has their good points and bad points, etc. But I'm serious about this. This is something that when I teach a class or a student, this is a no-no. I don't like no one being hurt, just as if you were my employee, of course. So if you're going to buy one, okay, and you're serious about getting one, keep this in mind. It's very, it's very dangerous, and I mean, it's just how it comes. That's what you get, and no one took the time to design this or do this. And I was just fortunate. I had a young man that worked with me for years. He ended up going on working at General Motors and into the machine shop, tool and die shop, and he made me up a couple of weeks. So of course now when you go to sew, I don't have the danger of that ever happening. You do have to keep in mind. You do have to keep in mind more pressure against the roller edge guide, it's called, when you go around that still, but it's never going to drop in there. And that's so crucial, so crucial. And just to give you an idea, I do, everybody I'm sure knows what a banjo is. You have a guitar strap or a guitar when you lay it flat on your lap, then they call that a dobro, a dobro guitar. Or this is for a dobro guitar strap is what this is for. Okay, so take in mind, we now went from 1 inch to, bear with me, to a 1/2 inch. Okay. So once I had that plate made, I can go around a strap that's a 1/2 inch wide. This was an inch wide when the injury almost occurred with my son, this one here. So that's how important it is. So keep that in mind if you want that machine, whether it's a Cowboy, whether it's a Cobra, et cetera. Keep this in mind, how important that is. Keep that in mind that you might want to find someone that can get that made for you, check it out. Other than that, I would say, it's a good sew machine, excluding, I'm going to explain about some oiling as well. But being as your teacher, I just want to make sure, when you purchase something, that you know the ins and outs of it, the rights and wrongs of it, so we don't have issues down the road. So, hopefully, you folks know a friend or a family member that can make something such as this here. This is just absolute. You don't mess around. This is the machine that sews. Basically, I'll show you. Let me grab. I laid it over here. Okay, there we go. Give you an idea. There's 7/8 of an inch of leather right there. That's what that machine can suffer. So it's nothing to fool around with. I mean, and you really have to do some adjusting to the walking foot and all these other things to get to that point. So don't ever think that the machine is too much for you, because really it isn't. You can actually sew. We're going to sew a key fob that is a total of 4 ounce of leather. That's how much difference you can, sew on this machine. This here is a Boss Gator with a piece of heavy suede on it. So you got about 6 ounces here. And then we're going to take a piece of leather. I already have it in the machine. It's a key fob. And it's going to be a single layer, 4 or 5 ounce. It's like a chap leather. So so now let's move on to the next part. Hopefully everybody understood that all right. Okay, so this next piece, let's move these out of the way. Okay, this is your walking foot, which supports your leather on both sides. So your walking foot, of course, is going to go right in between there. And it supports your material on both sides, which is more control, more pressure. It holds the project tighter, which is okay. When you're learning, that's one thing to start with, but to get a closer to the edge and keep your stitching tighter to the edge on your project is now, here is your left toe of, this here. Okay, and what it is, I have the right toe on the machine right now for my top stitching. So basically you're looking at, this is the 1/2 of that right there. So I'm thinking that is that part. Okay. I've only tried this once. I wouldn't do it. I don't like it anyways. People that work with saddles use this. Of course, this is like a really huge walking foot, really deep grooves. And the reason being, they use that when they're sewing, say, sheepskin on the bottom of a saddle, something of that nature, where you have to have tremendous width, tremendous pressure. So that's the reason we use a foot of that measure. We're doing that there. So I think that covers that. And I guess I'll say this right here if I go over the machine. When it comes to my daughter getting everything reorganized in the pictures I put up. When it comes to the oiling, you know, uh, the innards to that machine, just because those oil holes are where they're at, doesn't mean it's going to hit the actual parts that need to be oiled. There again, I've learned this. I actually have to pull the head off the machine approximately 3 times a year so I can get in there and clean it real good with rags and an oily rag and a clean rag and wipe it down. And when you actually hit those oil ports to go down in there and oil them, I'd have to say, being honest with you, probably 35% of the moving parts actually are, don't get oiled. So in other words, 65% of them, yeah, it goes on the moving parts and it gets oiled, but there's a percentage there that it never receives the oil, and that's very crucial. And that's just the way it is. So it's important to take, as you'll see in pictures, it has like a beige color, yellow color on the end of the machine. I'm sure you'll see it here shortly. And you have to pull that off the end and look inside there, clean it, and then you can see what I'm talking about. So as a crafter, I would say it'd be very wise of you to do that once a year, so you know every moving part has been oiled. Um, and there again, so I hope this part has really helped you, because it's very important for safety, and it's very important for the life of your sewing machine. So on that note, I think we'll get started on doing some sewing here. So we'll go over to the machine now. Everybody see me all right? Okay, so anyways, what this is, in my post on the class page, this was one of the leathers. This is, I think they call it Arizona. It has a grain, a real deep, nice grain. It's supple. It's like heavyweight chap. It's 4 ounce. And there again, I've never lined this. You can see the flesh on the back side of that, So, and for example, this is a size 207 thread. No, this doesn't sew 69 very well at all. It sews a 138, very nice, 207, and so on and so forth, going up. There's a lot of tweaking to do if you're going to go with 69. It's too much of a pain, and I would say don't waste your time. So as you'll see here, this is the other toe that is mounted on to the machine, and there's your adjustment up there where your slot for your screwdriver to take it off and put it on, that holds this here. So this is the left toe, and I have the material, the leather, up against the roller edge guide. So we'll sew around that. You're going to hang on both pieces of thread. Is that looking all right? We can see that. Okay, so we'll hang on that, and this is a variable speed motor. Okay, and so we got it set for the proper distance. And when you're dealing with something really thin like that, you can see it wants to pull that. So you grab both pieces of your thread, pull it to you, hang on it, and let it do a couple stitches. And now you can get that pulled back and out of your way. I'm trying to keep my finger out of the way so you folks can see this too. And just take your time. Let the machine, do the work for you. You're dealing with lightweight leather. Don't force it. Don't tug on it. Don't pull on it. And as you can see, the neatness of the stitching is sweet. And I see, as I was looking through the different sites and people working with this machine, there are different issues in that. And one thing that really caught my eye and I seen that really bothered me, that people probably didn't know this, of course. So I'm coming up where it's really narrow here. So, and there again, if you notice, here we go, one more right there. So your roller edge guide, I'm going to take the pedal, which you can't see. The needle is all the way down in there. It's supporting the material. So you'll take your and lift your foot with your pedal. And I'm going to pull the roller edge guide back. I'm then going to turn this around like this. And there again, of course, I went off a little bit there. That's going to be on the back side. It's going to be riveted on. It's a key fob, of course. The point is, I'm just showing you how thin of leather you can actually sew with this. And now I'm going to back stitch and then pull it out. Okay, so you can see here. And when you're doing stuff soft like this, you know, I'm just showing you, you know, trying to hold this up correctly for you. And of course, this is on the back side. This spot right here is going to get tucked down, and the never see that anyways, because your key ring will be there, and then your rivet here, of course. So that's like a 4-ounce chrome tan piece of leather that is used there. Okay, hopefully you got notes here, because this is another thing that I had to tweak to make things safe, not ruin projects, etc. I'm hoping, yeah, I'm gonna kind of have to turn around and look at the camera here, folks. But I don't know if you can see this right here. That right there. There's a piece of leather right there, all the way around. It's about a 4 or 5 ounce when I started out. Okay. And what happens when you get your machine brand new, this is not here at all. That piece of leather, of course, isn't there. And what happened to me is, let me back this up. Okay. What happened is when I put pressure against this roller edge guide to sew, and that suede wasn't in there, it actually lifted like this. You see that? Yeah. And that, and up, and that. And so guess what? I'm sewing a belt that's $110. And now it just went under the edge of the roller edge guide. And I just ruined a belt that was $110. Believe me, I wasn't real happy. So as I learned from, we all do learn from your mistakes. So what I did is I added a piece of, I'm trying to watch behind me too. If you look right in here, can't see that, I guess. Okay, so right here, if you look in there, the white piece. So between this piece that rolls and the arm out here that it threads into, I put in like a 5-ounce piece of leather right there, which made the roller go down further here. So it put more pressure against your plate out here. So that's very important for your safety, and you, not only that, don't make mistakes when you do your project. So use a piece of leather right here, right in there, and then you're going to want to put your piece of leather right back here. So because you have metal against metal, and it can slide fairly easy. And next, when you have leather there, it's going to grip more, but also it adds, pressure between the two pieces of steel, and it lifts it some. So when you bring it over here and you put it there and you clamp that down, that baby ain't going anywhere. And when you go to sew, that's never going to lift your product, whether it's a wallet back, whether it's a holster, it's never going to go underneath here. It's not going to get underneath there on you. I said my hand's probably in the way. It's on right out here. So anyways, those are two very crucial points as far as so you don't ruin your projects, is put your spacer here and then back here, your piece of leather over here. I'm going to loosen this up. I want to show it one more time. This leather under here, the swing arm, and then where the roller guide is right here, you're going to put your piece in there so it forces pressure down on your plate. So that is so crucial when you go to do the sewing with this machine. So overall, between explaining the plates and that and your safety and the machine with these little things I tweaked and finessed, if you can get those, you're going to have, one, a safe machine, and two, you're going to have a lot less mistakes sewing your projects, So what we'll do now, we top stitch the edge of that heat fob. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to do a hidden stitch. So we'll come out and over to this camera. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in here. Let's see. My ruler. Okay. This,
After about half a foot now.
Okay, so anyways, let's come in like a 1/2 inch down here, a 1/2 inch, and then here 1/2 inch. Boy, the time flies. It's just I want to really cover things. Maybe we'll just have to do 2-part class because I want you to do it right. Okay, so it's probably, this camera's not the best, but there's the line a 1/2 inch from the edge. And so what I'm going to do here is, breathing adhesives over the years, I use leather tape here. You can get this from Walwick. It's a sewing supply place. It's leather tape for leather. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to peel a piece off here and stick it right up against that edge like that. And then, let's see, scissors were here a second ago, right down that part. Sorry about that. Okay, so get that on there just for good measure. Take your roller, make sure it's bonded really good. Okay, so now these are your two edges you're gonna sew together like this. So what we're gonna do, here we go. We're gonna take this, sneak underneath there, and peel that off. So now what we'll do, move that stuff out of the way. And we're just gonna, see, turn this, don't mind me. Okay, so it's not the neatest. Bring that up for us. We're in a hurry and trying to watch the clock here. Okay, so we got that stuff together. Now you can set your edge guide, or you could take a pencil and come in a 1/2 inch and score a light line, where you need to put your stitching, or use a wing divider and draw a light line. But once you have the machine, then you can set, we'll take this here just for grins, and we're gonna come in a 1/2 inch and put just a tiny dot here. So, I guess you can't even see it really. But anyways, I put a dot there, half inch from the edge. So we're going to go over the machine now. Okay, so loosen the adjustment there. Is the camera on?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Right, yeah.
Man. Okay, sorry about that. So anyways, we're gonna bring it in. You can see that dot there now, I believe. So we're gonna set the walking foot right over that. Then you hang on your thread here, because otherwise it tends to pull this thread down underneath, and you can't let that happen. So you drop your needle down in it. There's my back stitch, sorry about that. And we're gonna come on down through like that. Okay, so now we got that put in place. Now you can take your roller edge guide and bring that over so it's up against the leather. And we tighten it down nice and tight. You grab your thread from the top. You're going to go underneath and grab your thread from the bottom. You hang on both of those so one doesn't pull the other one up through the top and the top one through the bottom, because if you allow that to happen, then you're going to get a knot and it's going to be all messed up underneath. So I'll do 2 stitches first here. Okay, at that point, I'm going to back stitch and lock it. So you're going to take this and pull this out of the way. You don't want that going back underneath. So you put your machine in reverse, take your time, and back it up carefully. Okay, so now we've back stitched to lock it. So now you're going to grab those both, put those back in behind, and then I actually hang on it one more time, and I swing it underneath so I can hang on it so it can't get away from me. And the roller edge guide's still up against it, good and tight. And so now we can take off and start sewing. So now I'm going to let go because I know it's locked in place. You know, so when you're learning, just take your time. There's no need of hurrying. Yeah, you can put the pedal to the metal, but there's no sense in that. I mean, if you know you're doing 100 guitar straps, okay, now that's a little different, Okay, so say we're going to end there. Let's hit that in reverse and just carefully watch the needle back up. See it pulled up, and it pulled the thread up because it didn't continue 100% and lock it underneath. So I'm going to put it back down, forward, and make sure I'm all the way there. Now I'm going to put it in reverse and back up, and it locked its stitch. One more time and hit that hole. And so at that point, I'm then going to come back one more time into that hole right there, the second one. Okay, that comes up. Then you have your pedal down here, so you don't have to mess with this all the time, lifting that and just making more work for yourself. You use your other pedal here to lift it, grab it, pull it away, and then you're gonna trim it from underneath. And it caught the bobbin. I'm not sure why, but it did that time. So and the other thing is that I see a lot that people say, well, it's not consistent top to bottom, the distance of the stitch, and so the thing is, truthfully, it's never going to be, because when you stop and think, you have a hole that's being punctured going down through the leather, the hole on the top is beveled because the needle has went down through and opened it. So it's a smooth edge where it punctured. And when it comes out on the bottom, it's got the point of the needle. It came out, it didn't go in from this side. So of course, there's a real fine hole down here versus up here. Up at the top, it's beveled because the needle went down through there. And on the bottom, of course, it's just the tip of the needle that came through. So truthfully, you have two different size holes in the end. And a lot of people don't realize that. So having it being consistently exactly the same distance every time, it's never going to happen. I hate to inform you, it's never going to happen. But that's simply the point of that there. So what we'll do now is we're going to go over here and we're going to pull this back. We'll go back to the other camera now, guys. Okay, so what I do, because of the tape being there, and this is just, I've had to teach myself and learn everything myself. I'll take my creaser, whatever we want to call this, the blown folder, that, I told you where to purchase and that. You can use the round one. You can use one with like a point to it to get in there. And what you're going to do is just go between the leather like that and hold it like with your thumb and finger, and you're going to get that opened up really nice for you. Okay, so you open this up to help it pull back nicely. Okay, so now we have the tape on the other side, and we're going to pull that back. Okay. You can see the shadow that, of course, the tape is still there at that point. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your seam ripper or modeling tool and get underneath here like that. And grab it. Trying so you get to see everything here. You're going to now take it. Can you move this other side for me, guys, please? So now you're going to take that and carefully pull that out of there so that stickiness isn't there. And you just, you have to tinker with it 2 or 3 times to get it all out of there. But that's just like it is because it's the leather tape. Let's try it from the other end too. Anyways, you want to get that out of there. It's on the inside. And that's getting up there for us. So you want to try to get that out of the way. You say it's like anything, it's hand done, it's not going to happen. You twinkle your nose and it's done. Strong stuff. There it goes. Okay, so we got the leather tape out of there. Okay, so let's go in there and let's open that up a little more. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we have this out here, which we're going to take this and pull this down. Okay, like this. So you get that to lay flat here. And then you're going to take your here's my rubber. Oh, it's right here. Okay, so then you get your roller and you put it on there like that. See, that's where it ends. So now I'm putting the edge of the roller right in that crease. Let me turn this. So I'm putting the edge of the roller right down in that crease. So I'm only pressing that 1/2 side down force right now. And so we'll turn around and do that over here on this side. Okay, so now we're getting where that's laying flat like this here. Okay. So now what you'll do here, you can either glue it or you can leather tape it, whatever you would like to do there. And of course, this here, you've seen, I've done this actually, inside out as far as that goes, because really this would be the outside, of course. So anyways, so now I'm going to go down and use 1/4 inch leather tape, because I don't need all of that. And you're safer just to put it I guess it could be a little bit shorter. Interesting. Okay. So you stick that on there, and we're going to do one side at a time here. Okay. So I'm going to rub this down, make sure it's bonded good. Turn back and okay, so now what we'll do is I'm going to take that and you're going to push that over just like that. And there again, I use 1/4 inch, so whether it's going to be strong enough, I'm not sure on that. Because normally I'd use 1/2 inch. So I'm going to pound it. Might have to use 1/2 inch. So we can, see that there. I guess I'm going to have to use 1/2 inch. Wants to be stubborn, I guess. I know the clock is ticking. We're probably going to have to end at this point, so we can keep it at, say, an hour, and we'll take over next week on doing some more, because there's so much to cover, and I don't like hurrying, because then I'm not covering everything. I want you folks to see it how it needs to be done. And there again, everybody's different how they do their work. So remember that. Wow, seems like that's the only one to come up on me, which is I. Okay. Get that to lay down and then tap it. Okay, so now you can go over and your stitch, of course, it's hidden here now. And it's going to be top stitch, because this actually, of course, would have been the outside. So what I'm going to do, we'll go over now, switch cameras, and we're going to go over and stitch this. Okay. So I'm going to give myself a little extra thread here to work with, so I have something to hang on to. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set the edge of the walking foot, move my roller edge guide back out of the way, pull this up into here like that. We'll try to get as close as we can to the edge. Okay, so this here, I think we're just going to have to do this by eye. So we're going to go right down. Okay, so now we're going to back stitch it. So just do your best to keep that right down close to that edge as you're seeing what's happening there. I think that'll be it to be safe for myself. Okay, so you can see how that was top stitched there. Okay. Okay, now I can let go of the thread and go down this edge. And there again, if you stop and think, it only has that little bit of opening underneath. If we had that other plate on there, you've been playing with this right now. It would be moving, wanting to drop down into that big hole and make it a burden on yourself. And that's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So as you can see, that would then be the inside of your purse, and then this is the outside. And of course, you'd be top stitching here, this with the underside. So anyways.
Can you bring that over a little bit? Can you
Huh?
bring it over a little? We couldn't really see it. It was out of the frame. There you go.
Okay. And then there it is there. So normally you would be top stitching it from this direction, okay, because this actually would have been the outside of the purse, because if it was a purse, that is, and then this is on the inside, okay, so that's the reason it's like that. Otherwise, it would have been with this side out. It would have been with this side out, and that would have been folded on the back side. But when I first stitched that, I should have stitched it facing grain to grain, or flesh to flesh, or grain to grain versus flesh to flesh, because this is your flesh side and this is your grain side. But the point of it is you're seeing how it's done, and that's the whole point of it. And actually, you can see it better. So I think on that note, because if we go into another part, it's going to run over. And I really think we need to do at least probably a couple more sessions on this, because there's so much for you to learn. And I don't want to overload on you and make it too hard. So I think anyways, that's where we should probably wrap it up to be safe, because otherwise we're going to run into 20 minutes, a half hour over, and it's a Sunday, and I just I don't want to take up all your day. So anyways, I think that should be good then,